Let's see if we can condense into 4 minutes or less what's happening with the collapsing universe and some time frames that's going on and the hysteria around 2012. That may become, not hysteria, but we're going to have some Armageddon scenarios, destruction, end of the world scenarios. They're playing out. I mean, literally on the movie screen we're having that stuff go on. Because that's surfacing our fears, our fears. But there's a resonance here. Recently on the radio show I was asked again, and this brought all this back, so I want to make a little tape about it. What do you think is happening in 2012? Are we going to have separating dimensions and people will be choosing like the Garden of Eden type scenario or Armageddon stuff? Is there a separation of dimensions that the mind may not notice, right? And I agree with that, and I have felt that. But before that, there's a collapsing. It's like we're being squeezed through a birth canal, right? Like Terence McKenna talks about, time wave zero, where there's collapsing time frames. All the history we've lived in the past is now collapsing in ever tightening circles, like going inward on a shell, right? And so it's going faster and faster and faster, and we've all felt that. We felt, God, what happens? The years are flitting by. We used to, it feels like a year in childhood. It was like 10 years compared to a year today. And we've heard people complain, all the material that's coming out, there's no way you can keep up with it. It's an exponential growth in scientific literature, etc. You can't keep track of everything. It's just you feel overwhelmed. Too much processing. Your brain can't handle it. Because that's if we try to do it in the old way, which is to process through thinking or the ego mind. So what's going to work is to process it in your heart field physics, right? And like every spiritual teacher has said, make that 12-inch journey, from your head to your heart. And that's where it's going to function. The heart field now, physicists know, is like a toroidal field, like a donut. Imagine a very thin hole in a donut that goes up through your spine, and it's about a 12-foot donut that goes around your whole body, and you can spin that. You can spin that donut. You can actually spin it two ways, and when you counter-rotate, when you spin it in two different directions, that's what they did at the Philadelphia experiment, and created a rip in the time-space continuum, and weird stuff started happening. Well, true masters, or those beings that run what we call spaceships, or the Merkaba field that some teachers talk about, that's the counter-rotating. They're counter-rotating magnetic heart fields. Now if you keep the heart involved and not just your mind, you end up in a safe place because your heart wants love. The mind can do some strange experiments and end up with atomic bombs and dissolving planets and doing some really kind of naughty, nasty stuff. Not recommended. So this collapsing time references that's happening towards 2012 is true. It's not the end of the world, it's the beginning of the world, really. It's the end of the beginning right now. The beginning of the end. And so we're being forced to deal with our stuff, and you may have been feeling that in your own life. Upheavals, upheavenings, yeah? Upheavals, upheavenings. This is a normal process. It's being boiled. All those parallel universe consciousness timelines that physicists talk about. This timeline goes off, that timeline goes off. For instance, the Germans won World War II in one timeline. The Bay of Pigs with Kennedy went off in one timeline. And all that is true, that we have created multiple timelines, multiple universes, right? They're coming back together. The more you get resonance, there's stories of people actually meeting themselves. I know I'm getting a little far out right here. A friend of mine out on a walk, he said he started to see on the other side of the valley another person that was him. It was him. We have, and this is far out, I know that, but more and more people are having these experiences. So there's these collapsing time frames. Like a birth canal, we're being forced to deal with our stuff, right? Millions of us are realizing we have to deal with our stuff. It's coming up one way or another, through pain, through illness, through this and that. It doesn't have to be. We can collapse back in and reintegrate. The Greek word holos, becoming whole again, is healing, right? Soul retrieval. This is all things that are part of? Did I turn Irish there for a second? Don't know why. All right. So we're collapsing back in these multiple parts of ourselves. And then there will be a birth, like a quantum birth. Like imagine a star that collapses in on itself, it collapses in on itself, becomes smaller, and then it goes what? Supernova. Right? That's what's happening to us. Or imagine as we're getting heated up here on Earth, more and more compressed, which it feels like, right? Like popcorn. It pops into this whole new shape. In a sense, we're all going quantum. We're going to be popping quantum into new beings, a new heaven and a new earth. Hope this is making sense to some of us out there.